George Bernard Shaw once wrote, "We are made up of society, yet we want to change the society. Hence, we should try to change ourselves first." With these words, I welcome all of you to Toronto Buzz. I'm your host Khalid Mahmood Atta, and with me I have two very special esteemed guests tonight. Let me welcome them to the show. The very prolific and exquisite Aryan Hussain, who is a leader of the community. Also, the very versatile anchor, as well as she is into many different fields, Ms. Sadia Iram. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tonight we are going to be talking a little bit about ourselves, our life in Toronto, a little bit about our social setup. And Aryan, none better than yourself. You have been involved in a lot of social welfare activities as well as volunteer work. You recently went to Pakistan. What drives you?
I would say, well, thank you for having me. Thank you for welcoming me with such kind words. I would say it's people like you who support us. Humanity drives us, and we all try to do whatever we can to our extent. I'm blessed that I can do more sometimes than others, but thank God for that.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about your work. Tell us a little about UCPV and some of the work you did in Pakistan recently.
Sure. UCPV is stands for United Canadian Pakistani Volunteers. We felt the need for it because we wanted to have a general volunteer body here, comprised of mostly Canadians of Pakistani origin, who would actually go out and help out the community in putting events, putting fundraisers, or organizing memorable events like vigils, prayers, XYZ, whichever has any sort of a national value. Just to bring out a positive image and just to get different organizations of community working together and bridge between them. So our volunteers don't charge anything as they're volunteers. All the cost is there, they bear. The only condition we have is the event has to be of a national value or a community value and has to have some sort of a humanitarian factor to it.
Of course. We'll talk a little bit more about your work. Sadia, Aryan just spoke about volunteer work, and I know that you've been involved in a lot of volunteer activity. How important is it to volunteer in this society that we live in?
Well, thank you so much, Khalid, for having me, first of all. And with this great leader, I think so. It will be. Well, being volunteering, if you are coming to a new community, like coming out from your shell and working for the community, I would say it's very important for everyone, first of all, to know the community. And you're working for a community and you build yourself and you get exposure and you integrate into a new society. It's great of overwhelming for everyone.
Sure. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've done in terms of volunteering as well as
I worked for so many, election campaigns basically, and I worked for a hospital, and I have worked for a lot of, the community services. I've been doing it as a volunteer, and that's all.
Okay, that's awesome.
And you've been working really hard.
I'm working very hard.
I can vouch for that.
Sure. Now, getting the basics out of the way, now let's come to the little bit technicalities of the society that we live in. We have come from, a lot of us have come from a lot of various different backgrounds from different countries, especially from Southeast Asia. There's a lot of cultural norms that we practice back home that are very different here. So when we try to integrate into a society, we come across challenges which are sometimes unsurmountable, but yet we motivate ourselves in keeping a balance. So when we come into conflicts, and especially you, because you come across a lot of people who are in the social arena who need help with certain emotional factors. How do you cope with that, being a leader, as well as what do you recommend for people, which values to follow and what to leave behind?
Well, it's actually very easy because when people migrate from one place to another place, so they already understand the values and the culture shock. They're ready for it. They absorb it. Right, and this is the biggest risk of their life, like leaving everything behind and starting a new life. So in a way, they're already ready for what's coming to them. Sometimes it's the adjustment level and the speed of the adjustment, which takes a while. The integration is very important. We bring a lot of values from back home. Sometimes they're religious or culture. But as we are here and we learn and we adopt and we move forward, they become easy. And as the generations are being passed, we're understanding them well. What I've seen, like probably in older generation, I would say, the people, they are not against it. Mostly they don't understand it. So that's where the understanding comes in. And we need to make sure that there is a better understanding and there is a better integration movements here. Immigration Canada has done very well job in like creating a multicultural and diverse society. We have become a multicultural, and now it's time for us to become intercultural, and that is the only solution to it.
And what does intercultural mean?
The intercultural means that, you know, the way we hold our own flags, at the same time we share our flag as well with the other parties and communities.
Okay.
You know, we are blessed to be diverse here.
Sure.
You know, like being in Toronto or Canada, especially in GTA area, we have like hundreds of communities, hundreds of cultures, hundreds of religions, and just by being here, let's say just going downtown Toronto, you can visit the whole world.
Right.
And that's where the acceptance comes in.
Right.
And acceptance comes in with understanding, and understanding comes from the knowledge.
Sure.
So we need to spread the knowledge that
sure.
we're not enemies.
Right, right. But Sadia, do we integrate? I mean, you being a woman and being from a very different ethnic background, and you're trying to build yourself in a society which has very different norms than your.
Well, Khalid, if you ask me, when I
do we actually integrate? Are most of our people here?
If you ask me, particularly my case, well, I worked like right from the day until now. I integrated myself with the society like anything. You go there, you talk to them, you integrate with them, you know about the culture, you know, it's a multicultural society, it's a full of diversity.
But your opinion?
My opinion is like...
all the other people besides you, because I know you did integrate and you're a little different, but most of the people that come here...
I have seen, like, if I see people around me, mostly they do, but if some of them, they don't, they just wanted to, you know, live in their social, cultural and religious values, they wanted to just hold on to it.
Right.
If you're not ready for that, I think so that would be a problem for those people. But some of them they do, some of them they don't.
Sure.
They don't like to do it. But yes, if you ask me if I can tell about myself, I integrated well, and I think so this is how you get your life once you integrate well and you go to the society and you learn, you know.
Sure. What are some of the challenges that you face?
To integration?
Being from a different background, being a woman, you know, there are different challenges that you face every day. Some of them are?
Well, I can tell you in the beginning when I start working in McDonald's, I have cleaned the tables and I have cleaned the washrooms too, right? Once you go back and you go in your community, oh my God, you are so well educated. Why are you working in McDonald's and you're mopping?
Sure.
Well, I have heard a lot. And now, till that travel till now, I worked as a Zumba instructor. I took 2 different, you know, fitness licenses. Well, why are you doing a Zumba and you're dancing in front of the guys? I still face a lot of challenges. People don't appreciate that, especially my community. They will not like it if I'm dancing and if I'm doing exercise in front of anyone. They will never like it. Sure. They will never appreciate. But that's my job, you know. Right. This is how I just like to do it. Weightlifting. Oh, Pakistani guys or South Asian guys, I don't want to say particularly Pakistani guys, they say, oh my God, how can you carry that heavy weight? It's not for the women, you know. Obviously, it is all kind of challenges, but I think so change is coming. People are accepting with the passage of time. They will accept it eventually, you know. Sure. But I do feel challenges around. If I work as an anchor person, as a media person, like they think differently in my community, but I'm not saying overall. But I don't get that appreciation sometimes, which is, I do not know.
I think that is true with all fields, and I think people like Sadia, like yourself, should be appreciated for the effort that they're putting in, for the effort that they're trying to put in to bring people together, to integrate in the society, to make a name for yourself, also for your community. So when you represent, when you go into a place and there are other ethnic backgrounds, you're actually representing your community there, right? How important is appreciation, you think?
Well, appreciation is very, very important. And as I said, that once people appreciate you, that is actually a sign that they understand you. So no appreciation sometimes means that you're not connecting well. And as her concerns are very valid, I would say on that part is that it's a human nature that either we are led by precedents, like past experience,
well said,
or we look forward for future examples. And when we integrate in the new community and society, we don't know what's right and what's wrong usually, right? Because when we come back, we bring a lot of baggage with us.
Sure.
We have a lot of baggage, we have a lot of do's and don'ts, and we're kind of scaling it on the same level. So once we see, as she said, that working out or going to the gyms, that's not a norm in those communities. I would say with the older generation, but I was recently visiting there, and I see when you see a younger new generation come, who are more educated and have a more awareness and exposure to the world, they're very welcoming of it. Absolutely, they are. And I would say, as we always say, that it's okay to love yourself, your culture, your religion, your country, but it's not okay to hate others at the same time. And that's what we need to learn.
Of course.
We all go well from there.
Yeah, we have to understand others as well as try to live with them,
Absolutely.
with our differences, right?
Absolutely.
What's the vision for you for the future? What do you see? Where are we going in the future? What's your vision?
Well, I think it's a very vague question, I would say, but if you are you speaking in terms of community?
Our community, that do you think we are focused, we are directed in the right direction to lead this society in future, or are we still lagging behind? We need to work a lot on ourselves.
I would say we have situated ourselves very well, because we are almost in the third generation, and every generation has a duty to do.
Sure.
Right, so the first generation has to come and provide us a shelter and food. The second generation has to show us the way.
Sure.
And third generation has to walk the way.
Sure.
Probably the fourth or fifth generation will actually get to the destination.
Of course.
And we have started. We have started well. And you look at it in the bureaucracy, you look at the government jobs, you look at the businesses,
Sure.
Look at the entrepreneurs, look at the elected officials.
Right.
We're moving well. We're moving ahead.
Okay, that's awesome. I think we have a very positive future. But Canada is still open to a lot of refugees and a lot of immigrants still coming into Canada who are just first generation, who are not brought up here, who are not used to the normal system. What do you think? What is their contribution in the society that we live in? What do you think is their role and their contribution?
You're talking about in terms of refugees?
Refugees and first generation immigrants who are not brought up here. Do you think they're still contributing well to the society?
Obviously,
they need to work on a lot of things?
Well, again, like integration, again we have come back to the integration. They have to well integrated with the society, at least they can survive well and they can, just get along with their life.
Sure. So what's your thought on the future? You are positive as well?
Of course, I am positive. I am working and I just making my ways to work for betterment, obviously.
Sure. How about everybody else? Do you think they're following along?
Yeah, they have their own path and they have their own thinking. They have their own blocks. They are just working towards that, obviously.
Sure. Now, Aryan, you also run an organization, or you're part of certain socio-political kind of organizations back home. You just went to Pakistan. Tell us a little bit about your other activities.
Yeah, well, I consider myself a street activist, and activism is all based on humanity. So maybe in Pakistan or India or Afghanistan or here, I'm blessed that I get an opportunity to go back and work here and there. My main motives are basically is to create bridges, bridge between political parties, bridge between influential people, for the betterment in general and as a whole, for everybody. And that was a small part I got to play. And it was very interesting, and I'm hoping that we will have something better coming out of it.
That's awesome, and building bridges is something that we all need in all kinds of forms of society. And I think you're doing an amazing, tremendous job, and you should be commended for that as well. Sadia, talking about family and work-family balance, how do you manage all these? You're a Zumba instructor, you're also into fitness, you have a full-time job as well as you're a TV host. How do you manage all this?
Oh my God, I just sleep for 4 hours and I start my day quite early. So my passion towards, different professions, this is make me to work. I plan my day, and with 2 little, small kids, and it's, once they go back to school, I work full time as a teacher. They are back, they go to karate. I go for karate too, actually. I took one karate class too. So I have to schedule, and my passion. That's what keep going every day. And every day is a challenge, obviously. It's you get stressed too. But I think so, I feel like you just born once in your life. You just enjoy, and your passion and your, you feel like you wanted to do it. I just do it. I do not know. I just plan. I just do it.
Sure. And you're not afraid of trying new things, of course.
Of course not.
Right.
I am just wanted to try every new thing every single day in my life.
Sure. Aryan, how important is prioritizing? What do you think? How do you prioritize? Because you're also active in so many different activities. What's your thinking when you do how do you prioritize things? What's
Well,
your
I think
main
prioritization
focus?
is very important,
Mhm.
and it comes with the time management as well, and it also comes with your inner passion, as she said.
Mhm.
So you follow your passion, and you follow what's right, and whatever is right is a priority.
Sure.
What you feel this is right for you.
Exactly, because priorities change every day. You
Yeah,
know,
every day,
because
absolutely.
you're a human being, you're a social being, right? So, and when you're in a, I would say, living an activist life, your priorities become, priority to you after you listen to the news,
Mhm.
after you interact with the people, after you see what are the new developments. So I may wake up with some other plans, but after meeting few people, the plans changes because the priority has changed.
Of course, of course. And how do you plan your day? Like every day is different, or you take up new challenges every day, or is it pretty much planned?
Well, pretty much planned too,
Mhm.
but again, like Aryan said, if you see somebody's like talking great and you feel like, oh, if I wanted to do this dance, why not? Let's try that, do that dance, right?
Sure.
If there is something else to try it on regarding exercise, I would like to go and try the different stuff. It's not planned, but sometimes I just move around to
Sure.
skip stuff too.
Sure. Now, for the people who are new, especially girls who are up and coming, and they want to build their lives here, and what's your proposal for them? What's any missteps you want them to avoid, and what's your
They
take
should
on
just
that?
follow their dreams and their passion. If they wanted to do something, they should well integrate with the society. And if they, the Canada is a land of opportunities, full of opportunities. If they wanted to do something, they can do it.
Sure.
Over here, no complaints. Like if you wanted to do something, you can go ahead, do it. So if they really wanted to do something, just stay focused, and just to be passionate.
Sure.
That's what I did actually.
Sure. Sure. Aryan, another question about the way we live. Some people say that some societies, like for example in Germany, they give language precedence, as well as in the United States. If you go, English is is everything. They don't. They've not built societies around multicultural languages.
Right.
What do you think? Should we have one language in the country, English, which would dictate everything, or we should build small individual language-based societies, which we are seeing is being built? So which one do you think is a better solution for the country?
Well, the way I see it is, if I would go into further detail, is like community is just like a building blocks, right? And to build a great wall of a country. English is important, or Arabic or Chinese, whichever language you pick, which is an international language, which can help two people communicate from different backgrounds and cultures, right? But at the same time, keeping your ethnic values makes you more loyal to your own community and to the country, because you don't feel suppressed. English is definitely an option, a requirement, and a need of this country. It's better that communities realize it instead of being forced upon it. And we come here calling it our country, and when you call it your country, it's like yourself, your body, right? When you're hungry, I shouldn't enforce what you should eat. If everybody's eating a boiled egg, you want to go fry egg, or you don't eat egg.
Sure.
You wear what you want to wear, right? But when you're throwing a party and you're inviting 10 people, then you have to be cautious that what everybody would like. So this is how the community is. We need to strengthen ourselves, because stronger communities build great countries.
Right.
Ethnic-wise, we need to hold on to who we are, but we need to merge as well at the same time.
So both are
Absolutely.
important. There should be a balance.
It's very important, because we define ourselves through our language, through our culture, through our tradition, through our values, right? And if we let them go, things will become artificial.
Right. I know that in the future generation will eventually catch up to English, and they have their own way of communicating, which will be English.
Yes.
But for people who are new in this country, who don't speak the language, should they make an effort to learn the language?
They should learn, because if they really wanted to well integrated with the society, they should learn. I learned English. When I came, I was like, never understand the accent of different people, right?
Sure.
I really worked hard. I worked as a greeter in the lobby, and I wanted to know the accent, right?
Right.
In the beginning, I do not know what they were saying, or honestly, with the
Now you speak quite well. I have to learn from.
but no, with the passage of time, I think so language is a barrier in the beginning. If you do not learn, if you do not want to learn, how you will integrate with the society?
Awesome.
But once you catch up and you understand, finally you will know, you are feeling more confident, basically, with the language.
Perfect. Any message, final message to the audience? You'd like them to say something to them?
Well, I would say that
An inspirational message?
I'm not sure if I'm capable of doing such an inspirational message, but all I would say is that respect where you are and respect who you work with, who you get engaged with. They are as important as yourself. Their values are as valuable as yours. And when we live in a multicultural and diverse community and society, it's time to own ourselves, own the country which you live in, and get rid of personal baggage which we bring from back home. That is the key, because if you keep walking with the baggage, you won't be able to walk fast. You won't be able to catch up.
Sure.
So freedom, peace, justice for all.
Very well said. couldn't have been better. I couldn't have said anything better. Sadia, any final words?
Well, I would say, please, whatever you see, don't be judgmental about anybody. Like, you do not know what is happening with that person, right? And for the family and for the friends, please appreciate whatever you see good in anybody. And that's it. And be like passionate about your dreams. If you are focused and stick what you wanted to do it, honestly, everybody will do it. And don't listen to the people a lot.
Thank you so much, both of you. Aryan, thank you for being at the part of the show. Sadia, once
Thank
again,
you so
you've
much
been a
for
repeat.
having me.
I shouldn't say repeat customer, but a repeat guest, and it's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, with thanks to Aryan and Sadia, this is the end of our program. Until next time, you're watching Toronto Buzz. I'm your host, Khalid Mahmoudata.
#1 multicultural channel. This is TAG TV.